Do you want to earn money? Real money, so much that you can enjoy the rest of your life without worrying about bills? If you're nodding your head right now, then keep listening. Because today, I'm going to tell you the story of how I made my first $1 million from scratch. No shortcuts, no easy breaks, just sheer determination, smart decisions, and a willingness to learn from my mistakes. But let's be real for a second. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, you just can't seem to get ahead? Like you're running on a treadmill, putting in all the effort, but staying in the same place? Maybe you've tried saving money only to have an emergency drain your savings. Or perhaps you've invested in something hoping it would be your big break, only to end up losing everything. I've been there, I know how that feels, and that's why I'm sharing this story with you, because if I can make it out of that cycle and build $1 million net worth, then so can you. Let me take you back to when it all began. I was stuck in a dead-end job, just like many of you might be right now. My paycheck barely covered my bills, and every month felt like a struggle to stay afloat. I remember one night, sitting at my kitchen table with a stack of bills in front of me. The power bill was due, the rent was overdue, and I was staring at my bank account, which was almost empty. I felt hopeless. I kept asking myself, how did I get here? How am I going to get out of this? That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to live like this anymore. I didn't have a clear plan yet, but I knew I had to start doing things differently. The first thing I did was create a budget. I sat down and listed every single expense, no matter how small. I wanted to see exactly where my money was going. And when I did, it was a wake-up call. Turns out I was spending way more than I thought on things that didn't really matter. Daily coffee runs, takeout meals, random online shopping. It wasn't easy, but I knew I had to make some sacrifices. I started making coffee at home, cooking my meals, and cutting out impulse purchases. It felt restrictive at first, but over time I started to see the benefits. My bank account wasn't as drained by the end of the month, and I finally had a little cushion. But cutting expenses wasn't enough. I needed to increase my income, so I started looking for ways to make extra money on the side. I had some graphic design skills, so I began freelancing after work. I offered my services on platforms like Upwork and Fiverr. At first, the gigs were small, logo designs, social media banners, but every job I took helped me build my portfolio and my confidence. It wasn't easy. I remember one night after working a full day at my regular job, I had to stay up until 2 a.m. to finish a freelance project. I was exhausted, and I wondered if it was worth it. But then I thought about the bigger picture, the freedom I was working towards. That kept me going. With the extra money from freelancing, I started saving more aggressively. I set up an emergency fund, and once I had enough in there to cover a few months of expenses, I started thinking about investments. I didn't have a lot to start with, but I knew I had to make my money work for me if I wanted to build real wealth. I started small. My first investment was in a low-cost index fund. It wasn't glamorous, but it was safe, and it gave me a foothold in the market. I kept reading, learning about different types of investments, and over time I began diversifying, putting money into dividend stocks, bonds, and eventually real estate through REITs. But let me be clear, there were setbacks. Not every investment worked out. I lost money more than once. I remember putting money into a stock that tanked overnight. I felt sick to my stomach, thinking I had made a huge mistake, but instead of giving up, I treated it as a lesson. I analyzed what went wrong, adjusted my strategy, and kept going. One of the most important lessons I learned was to stay consistent. Building wealth isn't about hitting the jackpot with one big investment. It's about making smart, steady moves day after day, month after month. I stuck to my budget, kept freelancing, and kept investing. I didn't let setbacks derail me. As my investments grew, so did my confidence. I started taking bigger, calculated risks. I invested in a small rental property, which became my first real estate income stream. I also started a side business selling products online, using the skills I had honed over the years. Each new venture brought its own challenges, but I tackled them head-on, learning and growing with each experience. Before I knew it, my net worth was growing faster than I had ever imagined. It wasn't overnight, but it was happening. I hit my first $100,000, and I remember thinking, this is real, I'm actually doing it. But I didn't stop there. I kept pushing, kept reinvesting my earnings, and kept diversifying my income sources. Eventually, I reached that magic number, $1 million. It was surreal, but looking back, it wasn't any one thing that got me there. It was a combination of smart budgeting, relentless hustle, wise investments, and most importantly, not giving up when things got tough. So, what's the secret to making $1 million from scratch? It's simple. Start small, stay disciplined, Learn from your mistakes and never give up. Because the moment you give up, that's when the dream ends. But if you keep going, one day you'll look back and realize you've come further than you ever imagined. I'm living proof that it's possible. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey today, make that first move, no matter how small it is, and keep moving forward. You've got this. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a world to us.